sometime last week, or possibly the week before, I'm going to be honest, every day bleeds into one and every week becomes a month, becomes a year, and what is time really other than the never-ending progression of events happening? Recently the F1 news cycle's become caught up in a rumour that Oscar Piastri is looking to make a move to Ferrari for 2027, and just like Lewis Hamilton before him, this has been met with a number of side-eyes and disbelief that the guy who's most likely placed to take home the F1 Drivers' Championship this season, who's currently part of a team that's become pretty good at the corporate favourite term of continuous improvement, would move to the team that constantly swings between brilliant and shambolic and seems to have a memory shorter than my cat every time somebody goes near the bathroom. Now with Lewis, sure, it turned out to be true, but it's where I first heard this rumour about Oscar and Ferrari that's got me thinking. Kia ora, I'm Kimmy, I talk F1 in the world's second worst accent, and the first time I heard the names Oscar Piastri and Ferrari linked in any kind of serious way and not just a hypothetical thing that could happen was on an AI-generated podcast. Here's me, killing a bit of time, clicking around my YouTube studio, a place I normally reserve for replying to comments and occasionally crashing out over a 10 of 10, when I thought, hey, wouldn't it be interesting to go take a look at what videos my channel's being recommended next to? Cue me clicking on the top link on one of my more recent vids and being taken to what was unmistakably AI voices reading a script that had been generated by somebody typing, "Write me a 10 to 12 minute podcast with two hosts discussing Oscar Piastri's current contract status and make it sensational," into ChatGPT, and then just dumped that script into Google AI Studio and uploaded it with the kind of clips that would get most genuine F1 YouTubers a copyright strike. Now, I'm not going to link the video, nor am I going to link the channel. It's clearly AI slop. The only reason you should look for it is to report it for misinformation. This kind of crap is actually destroying YouTube and potentially destroying the credibility of actual, genuine, real human people who run faceless YouTube channels, many of whom make excellent videos. And there's a lot of them in the F1 space who I imagine are really fucking loving the massive influx of slop news in the last year or so. But my issue here isn't just the knee-jerk reaction of me as an artist, designer, writer, and YouTuber who spends most of their time actively working hard on creating stuff from their own fucking brain. It's also about how this kind of misinformation and careless, what is effectively AI-generated fanfiction disguised as an attempt at genuine reporting could start to filter down into actual legitimate F1 news outlets and media. And no, I know this isn't exclusive to F1. I'm sure it's happening in plenty of other places as well. I've seen it happening with the massive influx of stickmen-style explain channels. However, this is the first time I personally have experienced what I think could be a report that's initially come from something entirely generated by a machine with what appears to be zero editorial work and a blatant attempt at minimum effort AdSense money spreading broadly across the F1 side of the internet as a whole. Because this channel, from what I can tell at least, is actually monetized. When I first came across the video, they had just over 3,000 subscribers. Now, what I think is probably a couple of weeks later, I don't remember the exact timeline here, they're up to over 4K. They're uploading upwards of 60 videos a week for a total of, as of me filming this, 907 long-form videos, no shorts, that while most aren't performing that well thanks to clearly most people recognizing this absolute fucking garbage for what it is, have amassed a pretty significant number of views, and I imagine convinced a lot of people who A, don't know better or how to recognize this kind of bad faith content for what it is, or B, don't speak English as a first language, and thus the red flags for AI voices might not be as obvious, that they're reporting fact. And the kind of facts we're talking here is stuff like this. Direct quote. The headline fact, the one causing shockwaves through Woking especially, is Oscar Piastri has confirmed he's signing a long-term deal with Ferrari, and he dropped this bombshell just days before Singapore. Now, cue a few days later where a bunch of news articles cottoned on to Blick. For those of you who aren't familiar, Blick is a massive Swiss news media company whose Trustpilot score is made up of 71% one-star reviews, claiming in passing that Oscar was looking to a move to Ferrari. And I couldn't help but kind of put two and two together here. Now, to be clear, I am not accusing Blick of taking false reports from AI-generated YouTube videos and using them as basis for what they're implying are paddock rumours, because frankly, this podcast was so egregiously aimed at generating clicks and revenue that I doubt any legitimate reporter would have fallen for it. But at the same time, how many articles out there are also actually being written by ChatGPT or whatever your fucking LLM of choice is, also with minimal editorial oversight, which are basically just regurgitations of what has already been fed into or generated by the engine? Is it possible for legitimate reporting to get sucked into believing these rumours have actual basis because they've seen it in so many different legitimate source articles? Because it's impossible to find the source, not only because the source is essentially, as I said before, AI fan fiction and not actually an anonymous person in the paddock who actually had some insider knowledge, but also because when it comes to F1 gossip, you don't always know who the source is anyway. It's always some anonymous team member. So you can see why I'm getting pretty fucking concerned here. Every single F1 news outlet has taken this one line in passing from one Swiss website and turned it into a full-on rumour that sure may or may not actually be true or have some basis in truth, because this is F1 after all, and everyone's talking to everyone, but has just as much chance of being started by an AI-generated podcast that probably came from a one-line prompt asking for an SEO-optimized, retention-focused script. I want my sensational paddock rumours to come from scorned employees, people looking to create mischief, and those who really love the political fuckery and use it to their advantage, not from a fake podcast generated by a machine learning engine that's already started to cannibalize its own incorrect assertions. And I'm going to be honest, I was deeply tempted to go down the rabbit hole of this slop channel. So much. In the name of journalistic integrity, which is a reminder, I am not a journalist, I just didn't know what the fuck else to call it. However, I didn't want to contribute to this channel's view count. Although, like, I suppose I could just have turned on my ad blocker based on the whole hoo-ha that's been going on recently. So, No, fuck that. I don't want to destroy any more brain cells. Anyway, what's the point of this video? I don't know, man. I guess I just remember that the internet is a big interconnected global ball of electrical signals and power-sucking servers that send stuff to your house or your phone or your car or whatever else. And it's easy to get sucked into things when you're seeing them everywhere, but if there's not a solid source that can be verified, then it is all just talk. And possibly AI generated. And yes, I know that as a YouTuber who makes videos that discuss many of these rumours, I am complicit in this behaviour. However, I do try my best to do my own research, contextualise things as much as possible, and focus more on facts and my own opinion, rather than discussing what's effectively conjecture as if it's fact until there's more solid evidence to the contrary. Could I get 50,000 plus hits by making a clickbait thumbnail claiming Max Verstappen's definitely signed with Aston Martin and here's the false proof for 2026? Sure. Am I gonna? No. Anyway, that's me for the day. Thanks so much for watching to the end. I know I could have probably dug around a lot deeper here, but honestly, the AI situation right now makes me want to just unplug from the internet entirely. So yeah, thanks so much to my patrons for your continued support and beer money. Special thanks to Roger for the incredibly generous super thanks last week. That's 2 whole boxes of 3 wolves right there. Much appreciated. I'll catch you all next time. Ka kite.